welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber Matt, who gave me a dealer's choice to play whatever I want. And what I want to do is feature what is probably the second best deck and heir apparent to Legacy once Grief gets banned. Delver of Secrets is, of course, the central figure, has been for close to 15 years now, of the deck that tends to float to the top of Legacy. Delver is the threat that best leverages Daze and Wasteland, which are powerful glues to this format that we play. It's a great way to leverage Force of Will, another piece of glue that keeps the format together. And it lends itself beautifully to just playing the most efficient cards that you can. Delver has existed in various shells for its entire existence as a Magic card, and basically the question is, what color are we splashing? And Psychic Frog makes that a slam dunk black. Black is the color we're splashing. I believe Psychic Frog to be the future of Legacy. I think whoever figures out the best Psychic Frog shell will succeed extremely well, both now and in the future when we don't have Grief anymore. End of August, by the way. The countdown's begun. You can hear our expanded thoughts on this conversation on the Eternal Glory podcast. You can get that wherever you listen to podcasts. It's also a YouTube channel. You can get the exact same content there. Myself, Bryant Cook, and Thraben Yu talked about Psychic Frog, and playing with and against this card feels like playing with and against Dreadhorde Arcanist, a card that is banned. Nobody's calling for Psychic Frog to be banned. We're just saying we've seen something like this before, and it was really good. Don't sleep on Psychic Frog. Delver, being a fully established top-tier Legacy shell, and being an obvious place to slot in the Psychic Frog, makes Grixis Delver one of my top picks for what Legacy is going to look like if and when Grief gets banned. Deck building decisions that are important here. We need removal that kills enemy Psychic Frogs, because Lightning Bolt doesn't do it. Your opponent just needs 2 cards in their hand to protect the Psychic Frog from a Lightning Bolt, and from all future Lightning Bolts, because the +1 is permanent. That's why we see Unholy Heat in this deck. We see 2 copies of Molten Collapse in this deck. I actually think there is a reasonable universe in our near future where Lightning Bolt is a 2 or 3 of, maybe even less, depending on how inbred Frog versus Frog combat gets. We might be seeing 3-2 splits in favor of Unholy Heat instead of 1-4 in the other way. We might see Fatal Push replace Lightning Bolt outright. We'll probably see a rise in white removal. All Swords to Plowshares, Prismatic Ending. We got to get that frog out of here, and damage usually is not going to kill it. I did not intend for this deck tech to just be a love letter / warning letter about Psychic Frog, but that is the most important thing going on here. If you've played Legacy ever, you know about the Delver shell, and Psychic Frog is the coolest new tool in it. This list I found, the only super remarkable thing that made me really happy was this list has 2 copies of Obsidian Charmaw in the sideboard. This absolute unit is a card that I love playing in Modern to farm Tron decks and stuff out of Omnath sideboards, and I've never seen it registered in Legacy ever. But this list came from a recent challenge, so we've seen it do well, and Eldrazi are one of the other decks that are thriving right now. And it doesn't take much for this Charmaw to be a 2-mana 4/4 that strip mines your opponent. It's also big enough to tangle with some of the Eldrazi on its own. Really cool card selection. We'll see if it holds up, but I'm excited that it's even here. And that's what we're doing today. This is Grixis Delver from Matt. Let's get after it. I'm on the play in round 1, and while I'm not afraid of a land-heavy hand or a hand without a threat in Delver specifically, 5 lands is a lot. One of the lands is Wasteland, which is more of a spell than a land, but I don't really think Ponder's going to do the whole game for me on its own. All right, rewarded with a great hand off of a mulligan. And I'm going to bottom this Mishra's Bauble. If I knew the matchup, Force of Will is the other option. Bauble and Force of Will are the 2 cards that I would find to be the weakest. The Bauble is really good with Dragon's Rage Channeler. On turn 1, you just get a lot going. But I also don't want to just heckin' lose if they're a strategy that does something aggressive. So I will be bottoming the Bauble and playing Dragon's Rage Channeler on turn 1. Okay. After my mulligan, Devour of Destiny was revealed. Yeah, I'm happier to have Force of Will in my hand than Bauble versus Eldrazi. And the Charma is live. Match 1, round 1. I'm coming for you, big fella. Where are you? I want to look at you. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Okay, they exiled Null Drifter, Ithid Heralds, and Cavern of Souls. Fired off a Wasteland on me. That's okay. I have a second land. Now I have 3 lands. I'm going to keep adding to the board and applying pressure. Being a Wasteland deck of my own, them wasting me on the draw behind a threat is a big risk that they took. Ancient Tomb Petal. There's very little I like more than bashing into Ancient Tomb decks with Delver of Secrets. Okay, I can force this, or I could force their next thing. I'm going to force their next thing, because I lose the Brainstorm either way. I already have threats in play. Delver, Reveals of Ponder. I could just Ponder for the card selection, or I can just attack and keep extra blue cards in my hand. There's no Surveil lands in these builds. We get what we get, as far as mana is concerned. I could have flipped the Delver and then fetched. Or no, the fetch wasn't in play, because that was turn 3. Never mind. Didn't miss it. It simply wasn't there. Wasteland's a great draw. Molten Collapse, Force of Will. A lot of good draws here. Opponent is already at 13 life. It looks like they're gearing up for a Kozilek's command, which I will Force of Will. And they did this in my upkeep. That was generous of them. Now I get to surveil my draw step. Daze. Do I want Daze? It is castable, but I don't think it's very good. But we know they have a Devour of Destinies in hand. What cards am I trying to draw here? Murktide's good. Molten Collapse, Psychic Frog, Wasteland. Even Bauble is solid. There are a ton of 1-drops. I am not going to keep this Daze. Through Unholy Heat. All good. I mean, sucks, but it's good. Opponent's at 7. I have 2 card types in my graveyard, and instant and land are already among them. So if I were just to spew off cards trying to surveil, God, I'm immediately punished for binning that Daze. What a jag off. Alright, and this exiles this thing too. Jeez, alright. Well, I need to get Delirious. So I guess I will just Brainstorm in the end step. Gets countered, but I get to surveil. A big Schmirko. Put you right on top. Okay. Draw for turn. Fetch. I will present this lethal Murktide Regent and hope they don't have another big enough removal spell for this thing. Hey, there we go. Murktide Regent carrying the day at the very end. Okay, so we have to beat Chalice of the Voids. I'm slamming this Charma in right in the deck. Price of Progress seems absolutely bonkers. Consigned to Memory, just tailor-made literally for Eldrazi. Just designed from the top down to say, how do we deal with Eldrazi? Here's this card for you. Molten Collapse also kills Chalice of the Void, though. So, like, they're not like an Urza Saga deck that's going to have a million artifacts around. I'm going to respectfully chill a little bit on these meltdowns, though I do think they are going to be good. Daze is going to be really hard to line up. It's like, that last game, if I had kept the Daze, dazing the 7-drop would have felt like $1 million, but also, what if they just played a 5-drop with 6 mana up, and then a 7-drop with 8 mana up, and curved out that way instead? It's really hard to get a Daze to line up in this matchup. And probably 1 Bauble. I could mix those numbers up, keep them honest, have like 1 Daze in here and fewer Baubles. I could shave Lightning Bolts, but Eldrazi are smaller these days. No, Lightning Bolt is actually good. I'm off that for sure. Yeah, I'm not putting 1 Daze in my deck. Mishra's Bauble it is, just maximized for selection. Make sure I can keep the pressure up. Let's do it. A 0 lander, but we got the Charma. Do I keep it? Obviously mulligan, but big Charma. I appreciate the effort of you showing up. I will keep this hand. It does need them to not Chalice me on turn 1 to be functional. And do I want... I could bottom Wasteland and keep all my spells. I could bottom Bolt and focus on being proactive. I actually really want Consigned to Memory. I also really want Wasteland. I think it's Lightning Bolt that goes. Alright, sorry, Lightning Bolt. You know I love you. Opponents on 7. They did not devour any Destiny this time. Ancient Tomb, pass. I'll take that. I could just clip this Ancient Tomb. I could get on board with Force of Will, clip their next land. I'm going to go for the Wasteland. That just feels like Time Walk. And I'm the deck with blue cards in it. The Cavern of Souls, they may have baited me with the Ancient Tomb, and now they could be counterspells, but also that only taps for 1. Okay, the Doctor is about to operate. Get in there, DRC. I can still counter triggered abilities, even if I can't counter their spells. Wow, they want to waste me at 1 mana? Okay. That's a deal. Bauble. Would have liked 2 DRCs in play, but, you know, Wasteland. Price of Progress. I don't want to lose that, but it's also not a useful card to me right now. I'm going to leave it on top. I can draw through it. I can also brainstorm it. Like, I can draw this. They're drawing an Ancient Tomb. I'll attack for 1. I'm going to draw the Price of Progress, then I can brainstorm and keep things moving. There's the Tomb. They appear to be passing the turn. Kozilek's Command does work here, but I can force that. I am going to brainstorm in the end step. I want to keep things moving, even though that does open up a window where I can't consign to memory. Keep that Volcanic Island. That's what I was looking for. Psychic Frog. I'm looking for that too. Okay. Put back Price of Progress and Frog, and then I will draw for my turn. If they kill DRC now, I don't care. Though Ponder gets me Delirious. Interesting. I could just consign this Kozilek's Command to memory, because I can't counter anything else. That means I can't play Frog this turn. I also won't be Delirious. If I play DRC, I won't be Delirious. Do I let them have this and draw a card and play Frog? This is why Delver's awesome. I could Force of Will, pitching Consign to Memory, and then I get to play DRC and Ponder, and because I'm not forcing anything either. Okay, I'm actually going to go for Mana Efficiency at card Inefficiency to double spell this turn. I still want the Frog, though. And I'm going to play Bonus Channeler, Ponder, Trigger, become Delirious, keep Price of Progress on top. I will put this land in my hand and leave Price of Progress on top of the deck. If I can't cast it this turn, they probably have Thought-Knot Seers. And if I just connect a couple times with these 3/3s, they might win the game on their own, but they certainly put my opponent into Price of Progress range. When it's at 12, Fleshraker. That is one of the scarier cards that they have that lets them do a lot from a little. Thought-Knot Seer. Played around it. You can have my Psychic Frog. Then I bash you for 6, and you're dead to Price of Progress. Frog's out of here. They have 1 mana available. Eldrazi spells cost 2 less. I don't even know what they could do here. It's asked to attack. Don't have to click on it. You're at 6, and by my math, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Top. Delta to the graveyard. Murktide on top, just in case this game continues. We did it. Okay, yeah, just putting 3 power flying creatures in play over the top of an Ancient Tomb deck is an effective strategy. Look how cool their cards are, but their life total 0. On to the next round. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the draw for round 2. I'm going to keep my hand. A lot of new Delver players, one of the most common mistakes I see is people mulliganing to like 6 or 5 just to find a hand that has a 1-drop in it. You don't have to do that. Island Ponder. Good job, opponent. Played around the Wasteland. Just running out of my playbook over there. But I have some answers to stuff. I have a Brainstorm to move cards around. I have Daze and Wasteland that can interact. You don't have to just have a 1-drop to start the game. It's fine. I love the 1-drop Wasteland Daze play pattern. I think that is actually the game I'd like to play if all things were equal, but all things are not equal. Speaking of being unequal, how do I want to mess with this? And I'm going to daze it. I'm just deciding if I'm going to float red or black. I should probably or I should fetch C, float blue, daze. Float blue, daze. Okay, good. We dealt with that. I am going to brainstorm with my floating mana while we're hanging out here. This Wasteland doesn't look good this game. Okay, we fended off Psychic Frog. The first important test was passed. And I find my own frog now. Another brainstorm and some lands. I'm good on brainstorm and lands. I'm going to shuffle this Ponder. Force blue card, brainstorm. Plenty of lands if they waste me. Brainstorm from the opponent. At this point in the game, I'm very interested in a frog or a Murktide Regent. I want one of my big O's. And I'm perfectly fine casting Delver or DRC if they show up, but a big O would be great. A brainstorm here with Daze in my hand. There's a DRC, a million Dazes. How many Dazes is too many? At least one. I'm going to put back Unholy Heat and Daze, and I'll play this DRC. If I cast a spell, I'm happy to surveil away a Daze. Certainly don't need 3 of those here. Entomb, yeah right, Daze that shit. No, thank you. Mill that Daze. They're dazing me back. I'm going to daze you again. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep my hard counter. Daze the Entomb. Unholy Heat. I'm not delirious, but they are showing Troll of Khazad-dûm. Was I supposed to put Lightning Bolt back so I could churn through this? I am going to churn through this. I hate that there goes my answer to Troll of Khazad-dûm, but it's not actually an answer to Troll of Khazad-dûm. Probably just have to force then if they reanimate. I'm ahead on board, but behind on mana. Yeah, there's the reanimate. Here's my Force of Will. Wasteland, I don't want that. Me denying them mana is not how this game is going to end. They're brainstorming over the top. Looking for another answer or another reanimate. Counter that one. And they appear to be passing the turn. We're getting back in this. It won't collapse. That also answers Troll of Khazad-dûm. Count it. Okay. You can resolve or reanimate this turn if you want. I won't even fight over it. They could also hardcast Grief here. That would be a bummer. I'm not going to end step Lightning Bolt. I don't think that's a place I want to live right now. Love this Psychic Frog, though. I'm going to attack with DRC and see what they got to say about that. They said I'll take 1. Sure. If I had played the Frog first and they countered it, I would have been delirious. But if I had played Frog first, then I wouldn't have been able to bolt a Bowmaster in combat. But does Bowmaster even matter here? Not sure. Yeah, I was probably supposed to pre-combat that. Uh-oh. Well, they've found another Entomb, and they Brazen Borrowed me. Let's hope that last card in their hand isn't another Reanimate, which they didn't send 2 turns ago when they had the option. They also spent a Reanimate on Troll, so I think that they don't have another Reanimate, and they drew Entomb last turn. That's how I'm choosing to read this. Okay. Don't think I need any fetch lands here. And I am going to go for the pre-combat Frog in case it gets interacted with. I want Delirium. I can bolt the Brazen Borrower if this ends up being a flyer they can interact with. They're in the tank on this. I wonder if they have Force Blue card and they're deciding if this is worth going Hellbent over. Or maybe they have like a second Brazen Borrower and they're deciding if bouncing this for a turn is worth more or less than pitching the Brazen Borrower. Whatever they were thinking about, my Frog resolved. They're probably going to end step Brazen Borrower. I am not going to interact with it. I'm winning the damage race. And with that Archon in their graveyard and Frog in my hand, just cards in my hand matter a lot right now. They have 5 mana now. That's hardcast Force of Will territory. The race is on. I could jump the Frog, discard my hand, eat that in combat, but I think cards in hand are worth more. A Wasteland. Okay. I'm going to attack, and my plan is to waste them after I draw a card with Psychic Frog. Oh, it was another Brazen Borrower. Okay, interesting. There's nothing I can do about this. I'm going to Wasteland them, though. Okay, so my Frog's back. If they're going to cast Brazen Borrower, they have to do it now. They did do that. And they've indicated to me that their hand does not answer a frog in a good way, and they don't have a reanimate spell, that leaves like Daze as possible cards they still have. Frog's back. I can kill all their creatures next turn and stabilize at 8 life. I hope. I hope they're just treading water and waiting to die against this frog. But I'm not going to give them an easy Daze along the way. Okay, it's my turn again. I've drawn yet another removal spell. I'm going to attack first. No blocks. Good stuff. Frog is triggering. Okay. This is Delirium. Delver of Secrets, that's also Delirium. Sure. Super Delirium. 5 things. I'm going to bobble them so I can try to make a plan. Or reanimate on top. Well, that's pretty scary. However, if they reanimate the Archon, I can bolt them. And it's fine. I'm going to kill one of the Brazen Borrowers and act like I don't know what's going on right now. Underground Sea to the graveyard. Okay. Yeah, hopefully they just fire off reanimate and lose. That would be sick. Another Borrower. Alright, that's fine. I drew a Ponder. So do I want to go to 2? And that might be tempting. Yeah, go ahead. Hit me. Slam the reanimate for the win. Do it. Do it. Reanimate your troll or your Archon. Reanimate Archon. Entomb. Okay. Resolves. Entomb, Reanimate were the last 2 cards in their hand. I read it as Daze, but Entomb's also a card that it would make sense that they didn't cast. Not bolting one of these Brazen Borrows was a little risky, but if I do bolt, then the Reanimate works. I have to Molten Collapse at sorcery speed. I don't know. I just hope there's not some clever monster that solves their problem here. Like, Grief puts them to 7, I bolt them to 4, and that's a lethal attack. They reanimate Atraxa, they're not dead to bolt right away. Please just go for the Archon. It's lethal. What could go wrong? Reanimating Psychic Frog, you coward. Alright, that's fine. Good play. So now I have to decide how I want to do anything here. Bolt you puts you to 6. I think... Do I still just win? 3, 6, 7, 8. Oh, am I 1 short of... I could bolt the frog. They can't discard cards to save it. I can't just block Brazen Borrower with my Psychic Frog. DRC's not allowed to block, though. I can kill, leave up a blocker. If I didn't play this land, I would have lethal. Oh, wait, do I have lethal anyway? Am I miscounting my draw step? So it's 3, 4, 5. Card I'm going to draw is 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, sorry, for the slow roll opponent. You're dead. Okay. Yeah, I'm like doing the math like I don't get to draw a card next turn. But I do. Okie dokie. Molten Collapse, destroy target creature or planeswalker. I choose Psychic Frog. Lightning Bolt. I'll leave that on top. I could ponder into it, or I could discard 2 things. Or I could draw it off Psychic Frog. That's even funnier. Alright. I can actually do all of these things. 3, 6. Cool. Alright. Yeah, other than, like, forgetting that Psychic Frog has 1 base power at the end there, that was a pretty fun back and forth game, and some cool decisions were made. Okay, Scam is the opponent. Surgical Grafdigger's Hearse. Pyroblast kills Frog, but it doesn't kill much else in their deck. Counterbalance seems dope. Consigned to Memory can counter Grief, Atraxa, Frog triggers, but not the creature itself. That doesn't seem good enough. I don't want to be playing Force of Will in this matchup. Like, I understand they have the whole graveyard combo reanimator thing. Like, I would not cut Force of Will versus classic reanimator, but that's not what this deck is. And that's why it's so broken. It has classic reanimator combo nonsense, but also just is a Delver-esque tempo deck against which you really don't want Force of Will around. Maybe I can shave a Bauble here and Daze on the draw. I think I want them all on the play. I don't want too many Pyroblasts. That just doesn't interact with things that aren't Psychic Frog in their deck. I could kill an Atraxa, I guess, which is not irrelevant. They still get the cards, but at least Atraxa's gone. I'm side grading or upgrading these forces into 1 or 0 mana things that do the same thing in the matchup. Okay, this looks good enough to me. Alright, I'll keep. Generally don't like mauling any hand that can do anything versus the deck that's likely to take 2 of my cards on turn 1. Like, you maul for that perfect 5. and then they just take 2 of them, then you're on 3. I'd rather have just a playable 7. They let on Ponder, which doesn't mean we're not getting griefed, but we're not getting griefed and reanimated. Okay, they passed. I think I want to just Ponder here. Counterbalance, that's a nice one. I don't think I need a 3rd Lightning Bolt, but do I need a 4th land either? I guess I'll take the Lightning Bolt and leave myself options on the land. They don't play Cabal Therapy. That's okay. That does leave a land on top if I successfully resolve Counterbalance next turn. If I had sacked it the other way, there'd be a 1 on top. Here's the grief, pitching Fatal Push. My hand is mostly the same shit. With triple bolt, I can even kill a Psychic Frog with damage. Wasteland, that's fine. Unlicensed Hearse, okay. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that has some text against some of the cards in my deck. Okay, now they're showing me Wasteland, which means I'm incentivized to keep that land on top of my deck, but also I know there's a land on top of my deck, which means Counterbalance is not going to hit this turn. Yeah, I'm just going to fetch another Volcanic Island so they can't take me off colors, and give myself the random flip on Counterbalance if they cast a spell. We're in there. First, chewing up the graveyard. Blue to Delta. Finally, black mana revealed. Fired off a Wasteland. Come on, frog. Not a frog. I'm going to play the sea because they know about it already, and then I could keep the Scalding Tarn up. Though Scalding Tarn does have additional value versus while I have Counterbalance in play. Maybe I should have given up the info for that extra percentage. Fetch. Oh, they're going to play... Nope. All right. It was fetch, then fetch, Surveil Land last. I don't actually care about Harbinger of the Seas. I have that insanely covered. All right, Murktide Regent, Unlicensed Hearse doing its job, and we're going to get grindy here. They're down to 2 cards in hand that they haven't cast when they could have. Now they're eating their own graveyard, making that Hearse into a monster. Do I have any answers to Unlicensed Hearse? This only kills 1s, right? Yeah, 1 or less. Yeah, I didn't bring in my Meltdowns, and I'm not going to either. I'm just... Alright. Yep, that card is going to be in play for as long as we're playing the game. Okay, I like a Brainstorm. If I send it now, I could bolt something like Bowmaster. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going for it. I would like to get on the board while my opponent is farting around. Okay, the Brainstorm resolved. They tap mana, then change their mind. I'm going to put back Murktide and... Is it one of the bolts, or is it the land? Yeah, I think it's Murktide and the land. I could see Daze clipping a Hardcast Grief. Murktide and land go back. I'll play the Bauble, but I'm not going to use it yet. There's a land on top of my deck right now. And chewing up graveyards, they continue. There's that 4th mana. If they've been sitting on a Hardcast Grief, I'm ready. Okay, I'll fetch in the end step. Get my last red source. I think I do want to Bauble them. I just want cards. I want to do something. And without a fetch land, there's nothing clever to do with the Counterbalance plus the Bauble. They're likely to fetch this away anyway, but let's just cash in our card. And I don't know what's on top of my deck right now. There's a Reanimate on top of theirs. Bauble trigger. Frog. All right. Here's that boy. The frog. I'm going to lead on Delver and hopefully throw off the scent that I have a much better threat in my hand. Because they've been not playing cards for a while. It would indicate possibly reactive cards, and we've seen them pitch a Fatal Push to Grief already this game. It's over there. They are Unlicensed Hearsing. That is 10, by the way. If they just fire that thing up once, it's a 2-shotter. Just reanimate. And they're casting Orcish Bowmaster. Come on, Counterbalance. There's a 7 on top of my deck right now. That's a lot. Alright, well. Orcish Bowmaster resolves. My Delver eats poo. Oh, I needed to bolt that shit. I was supposed to bolt that before it made the army. Now it can crew the hearse. I've been talking about that the whole game, and now I'm just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, this is 10 damage I just didn't need to take. God, that was bad. Yeah, you blink for 1 second in these matchups. Every little thing matters. And you're so tight, and there's so much to keep track of, and then you just blink, and it's gone. It's weird they didn't reanimate when they knew the Gettin was good. Maybe they were just so excited to fire up the hearse that they forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am short on that. All right, Psychic Frog, get in there. And I don't have enough mana, so I can't even like discard the Frog to end up in a spot where I could also cast Murktide here. I would have had to do something crazy, like daze my own Lightning Bolt, replay the land. It sounds so bad. Come on, Counterbalance. Telfer of Secrets on top. All right. Well, I'm dead to Hearse because I took that shot last turn that I didn't need to. Yeah, Hearse is a 10, not even close with Frog. Yeah. All right. I fucked up. Dothy Voidwalker seen though. Good to know. I'm not gonna bring in Meltdown to kill Unlicensed Hearse. It's not that important. I just need to play tighter. Daze is better on the play. That Pyroblast sat in my hand the entire game, but that doesn't mean I should cut it because Psychic Frog's still a problem. And we've now seen Bowmaster and Voidwalker confirmed. Great targets for Lightning Bolt. I think I'm going to shave another Bauble. It's either Bauble or Wasteland for me, and I think Bauble is the better one to get rid of. Gape, Hands Gas, let's go. Delver of Secrets. Swamp Go is their play. I like that. Scalding Tarn is not a reveal for Delver. I'm just going to attack before I do anything else. If they have Fatal Push, I want them to use it here, or at least give them the opportunity to use it here before I shove Psychic Frog. If they don't kill Delver, I'm just going to land go. Yeah, alright, Scalding Tarn pass. I could... No, never mind. Brainstorm now. I have Grafdigger's Cage in my deck. There are reasons to do this now. I'm going to put back Wasteland and Unholy Heat. I want to flip the Delver, but I also want options available. Yeah, Unholy Heat seems like the worst card in my hand right now. Cycling Troll. Okay, Unholy Heat is live. Tutor to Underground Sea. Dothy Voidwalker. Okay, that resolves. Now my Delver will flip, revealing the Unholy Heat. I can heat this Voidwalker. Also bolt the Voidwalker and hope that heat is good somewhere else later. No, I'm going to heat the Voidwalker. Yeah, putting that Wasteland back, I didn't think they would suddenly decide to play into Wasteland, but Troll can't fetch the basic. Don't really want to suddenly give them the option to daze me. I'm just going to pass. It sucks to leave Frog in my hand when I know they're a discard deck, and Frog, the longer it's in play, the better. But this Delver is starting to apply real pressure that they're going to have to respect. Wasteland's on top of my deck right now, and if I take out their only island, then they can't daze me. Got a Wasteland of their own. How do you want to use that? Animate Dead on Troll, you got it. And they tapped the Wasteland to do that, leaving up Underground Sea. I'm going to play my Wasteland. I'm going to attack for 3, and I'm going to waste them at the end of combat. That way it commits whatever they want to do with this blue mana there, but I still get the attack through. Black, blue, Frog. Okay, we're in there. Frog Gaming starts now. I am winning this damage race. There's the basic island. In for 5. Can't block, won't block. It was cool the way that I brainstormed 2 cards back, fully intending to shuffle, and then did not shuffle either of them, despite having the ability to do so. I'm going to let them have the Frog. I'm not going to play into Daze with the Pyroblast. Now I have a Daze. That's good stuff. Destroy target blue permanent. That one. Okay, so do I push an extra damage here by discarding Scalding Tarn? 5. All right, 4 is a 3-turn clock. 5, or 4 is a 4-turn clock. 5 is a 3-turn clock. Yeah, all right. I'm going to push an extra damage here. Get rid of the Scalding Tarn. Throw a Wasteland. Is that better as Wasteland or better as Frog Fodder? I think Frog Fodder. Yeah, okay. I will leave that in my hand. Got 4 mana now. Still bashing. Frog can fly. They were in their end step. They didn't make any plays. We know Bowmaster is in this deck. I don't think that does anything here, though. A removal spell would be good. Yeah, that plays. Sure. Okay. Ponder. I could daze a Bowmaster if one were to show up here. And if I find a second bolt, we're done. Alright, yeah, I'm going to Ponder. Alright, looks like they have the Bowmaster. And I'm going to max punish with both Daze and Wasteland here. Daze that with the land I just tapped. There's the other Lightning Bolt. Okay, well, this is the out that we played to. I will draw this card. I'm going to attack for 3. I feel like they would have counterspelled a million times if they had access to one. They're still dead if they Force of Will, and I could play around Daze just by making a land drop. So here we go, Lightning Bolt. I mentioned Lightning Bolt in the deck tech as a card we might see in lower numbers because it doesn't answer Psychic Frog, but it also, the reach that it provides in these Delver decks is kind of essential to their core plan. which is why Is It based and like Grixis kind of Delver decks always rise to the top over Bug Delver historically, or like the blue black decks like Death Shadow and stuff have their moments where it's reasonable to play them, and then they always give way back to the Is It based Delver decks. That's going to be a really interesting thing to balance out. How good is Lightning Bolt in spots like this versus not being able to kill Psychic Frog, which is one of the most essential things to remove. Man, Legacy's fun. Magic rules. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I am on the play in round 3. I'm going to keep my hand. Lands and spells, you won't catch me mulliganing for a 1-drop, as we've discussed. I'm going to Mishra's Bauble my opponent first, and maybe get some idea what they're playing, and then I can ponder with better information. The opponent mulled a 6. Bauble you. White of the Reliquary. Okay, so it looks like some kind of Cradle Control or other brew of some kind. Cradle Control is the, like, air quotes, real deck that plays White of the Reliquary. Wasteland seems like a reasonable tool in a matchup like this one. I'm going to put the Daze on the bottom, draw the Polluted Delta, draw the Wasteland, and then be able to ponder or shuffle as needed. I guess I draw all of them because of Bauble. Never mind, I'll take them all. And then I still have Ponder, Fetch Land, Wasteland, etc. Once Upon a Time, yeah, this is reading like Cradle Control. Springheart Nantuko, okay, you're a Nadu deck. Let's go. I mean, maybe Nantuko is good enough to just play on its own merit, but I've not seen it outside of the context of Nadu. A Ponder. Love a Lightning Bolt. Hey, we found one. Unfortunately, I found all of the cards I want, but I have to shuffle to cast them. Yeah, bummer. White gets bigger for each creature in your graveyard, I believe. Yep, okay. So I can draw the Lightning Bolt now, leave Delver on top, and then Bolt if I need to, but otherwise deploy a threat. And these dazes are really bad if Noble Hierarch stays in play. I guess I'm going to hope to turn it around with the Wastelands, get the dazes back under me. There's White of the Reliquary. Elvish Reclaimer. Alright, I'll daze this jerk, which does make White a 3/3. Okay, Lightning Bolt and Delver of Secrets is my plan here. Bolt the White. They could do something like pitch Endurance and save it. Okay, yeah, there it is. Am I worried about... I mean, the Endurance doesn't need to resolve for this trick to work. They just target me, regardless. Okay, yeah, that's a cool trick. But it did cost you 2 cards. Let's see if White of the Reliquary can hold the fort on its own. And they kept Springheart and Nantuko. Is this an endless combo on its own? They could start spamming out copies of White of the Reliquary. Yeah, I'll just force this. That seems too good. I still have to deal with this 5/5. I have Molten Collapse, and someday, maybe, I'll have Delirious, Unholy Heat, even has Vig. Yeah, there's 1 card left over there. Basically, it comes down to, do I draw a good card in the next 1 or 2 turns or not? If I draw Molten Collapse right now, I actually feel fine. Volcanic Island, that's not what I was looking for. I am going to pass with Wasteland up. I'll Wasteland in their upkeep. I just didn't want them to be able to get some busted tech land after I use my Wasteland. And I have the second Wasteland if they then decide to do that. Yeah, they didn't care about that Bayou at all. Here comes the White. Not blocking it this turn, gonna have to block it next turn. If they have a Sajiri step, I might have just conceded. Mishra's Bauble, not helpful. Okay, Bauble you. I know they can shuffle, but kind of forces the issue to do that. Ignoble Hierarch on top. Yeah, if they attack for 6 and then before blocks spin up a Sajiri step, I am dead. Okay, they're doing stuff in the end step. If they just have that phasing land, phase out my Delver. Yep, okay. Phasing out my Delver. I have to draw. I don't even think I have a removal spell that helps. Yeah, this White of the Reliquary, that Endurance trick was just too much for me. Could have sequenced that earlier turns differently. Like if I just shuffle away my creatures, bolt the Noble Hierarch, their whole game is way slower. Maybe that's why I messed up. Okay. Grafdigger's Cage seems solid. Unlicensed Hearse helps control the size of a white, at least. Obsidian Charm was interesting. It's probably going to cost 4 or 5 most of the time, but it is a giant flying wasteland. I'm going to get skinnier on days. I don't think Price of Progress is actually good here. Counterbalance might not be good either, but I think it's good enough. I'm probably not going to have room for these Charmaws. Red removal is the best thing I got going on. So the collapses, the bolts, the heats, those cards are going to be high priority. Shoving a Murktide Regent and winning the race is high priority. I don't think Obsidian Charma is better than Daze, Force, or Mishra's Bauble, which are the cards I'd consider cutting here. Okay, yep, this is what I'm doing. Yeah, I should have just taken my medicine and killed the Noble Hierarch, knowing that I had 2 Dazes in hand. I will keep this. Needs a land, but I have redraws before that's a problem. Bauble, look at my card. It's not a land. Bauble, look at your card. It is an Elvish Reclaimer. I'm going to fetch for Volcanic Island and play Grafdigger's Cage. This turns off Green Sun Zenith or any route to Dryad Arbor or Fiend Artisan or Natural Order. Motobug. That's the card I just shuffled away. Once Upon a Time. Found Lair of the Hydra. Hail Hydra. I actually think I'm going to Force Will this Elvish Reclaimer. Oh, that's not Elvish Reclaimer. That resolves. Never mind. Come on, land. It's this decision again. I love playing Delver, though. Like, I could play Dragon's Rage Channeler. I could Brainstorm and try to play Channeler. I could just bolt this and try to play Control. There's just so many cool things happening right now. I'm pretty sure Cradle Control is main decking 4 Endurances right now, which makes Dragon's Rage Channeler an unreliable friend. I'm actually going to do the Brainstorm. Rewarded. Okay. I don't need 3 Force of Wills. One of these can definitely go. And Lightning Bolt's really good. If I want to play Dragon's Rage Channeler this turn or Lightning Bolt this turn, I need to keep both lands because I need black. I could put back the other Force of Will, keep 1, and just hope to come up with a blue card before I need to force anything because I want to keep my Psychic Frog. And in case of emergency, I can break the glass and pitch the frog. I think I'm in for that. And I am going to play Dragon's Rage Channeler. Yeah, alright, DRC, let's go. Everything gets better with that card in play. There's the Lair. There's a white. It is a 2/2 here, which means Endurance doesn't save it. Ignoble Hierarch, number 2. Okay. Holding very carefully onto that Elvish Reclaimer. I'm gonna bolt white this turn. I could just bolt it now to get the Surveil, and I think I am gonna get that little extra piece. This is just gonna happen, and I might as well get some selection. Didn't I shuffle that? Motobug's going crazy here. I am actually going to keep that because it's a blue card for my other force, and I feel like I could make it happen with this frog. DRC gets to attack into this 0/1. That'll teach you. Underground Sea, Psychic Frog. Time to pop my way out of this game. Slowly but surely. I answered their engine and resolved one of my own. Elvish Reclaimer. Do I Force of Will this? No. Yes? No. No. Alright, they can have Elvish Reclaimer. I would Force of Will Endurance. That's big enough to ruin my frog. Okay, Lightning Bolt's really good. Now I don't care about Elvish Reclaimer. Rewarded for my patience. Bolt that thing. Get the Surveil. The fact I bolted in the main phase instead of in the upkeep should tell my opponent that I just drew this. Attack, attack. Prepared to force Endurance in combat. Yep. Another Surveil. Unlicensed Hearse. Do I care about that? I think the phase where I'd care about that is past. and I would like some sort of additional pressure or answer to something off this draw. And Wasteland, I'm just going to sit on the Wasteland. I think I can do better than Lair of the Hydra. That's just a forest for now. If they fire it up, I could kill it as a creature. If they come up with some Maze of Ith tech lands or something, I'll have some concerns. If they have a second Endurance in hand, that's actually horrendous for me. Ponder, that helps. A Ponder will give me Delirium. Psychic Frog number 2. Right on top. Frog, Rege. Okay. I'm going to take the Rege and just slam it pre-combat. That way, if they have Endurance, I've already fucked up. Leaving Delirium, I could still make a pretty big Murktide. And attack with my creatures. Alright, looks like they're just connecting. I like that. That draws me the other frog I stacked on top. I can't use right now. I can make Murktide a 9/9 at will by jumping the frog and exiling Ponder and Lightning Bolt from my graveyard, in case that matters. The way this last turn cycle went makes me feel like they just have, like, Green Sun Zenith or lands in their hand. Okay, cool. Alright, we'll never know how effective that cage was, but it certainly felt good. Alright, I think my Dazes come out entirely versus the deck with, like, 6 Mana Dorks in it, or more. Way more if we count Green Sun Zenith. I got one slot open. It could be Price of Progress, which I don't think is actually that good in the matchup, but it might be better than a random one of Days. It's probably way better than Charmaw. Consigned to Memory can counter stuff like Talon Gates ETB trigger, or Sajiri Steps ETB trigger, or Greater Hoof Behemoths ETB trigger, but it doesn't stop those permanents from existing. I think I'm going to go Price of Progress. Even if this just does like 4 or 6, that might be enough to flip a damage race. Here we go. No colored mana. Disappointing. Gonna mulligan. Okay, colored mana and Lightning Bolt. Very happy. Keep this. And I could put back Wasteland, which is not very good on the draw against their deck, and keep Murktide Regent as easy force fodder or as a threat if we get there. Yeah, I actually think the Wasteland is worse than Murktide in this hand. We've just seen that they play basics. We see that they play Mana Dorks. Look at this shit. How bad would that Wasteland have been in this hand? Alright, Moto bug. And Moto is just bugging out. We did just come back from downtime when I'm recording this. Maybe they forgot to re-implement the shuffle protocols. This is a joke, by the way. If you are new to the channel, there are people who think it's real, but it's also mostly not. Hey, Elvish Reclaimer. They're attacking me for 1. Those cheeky points where you can. And I will do the upkeep Lightning Bolt, because it's definitely happening. And I'd like to find a land that casts Ponder this turn, if I can get away with it. We did it. Alright, leave that Scalding Tarn on top. Draw for turn, Tarn, fetch, Underground Sea, cast Ponder. Ponder will be my 3rd type if I find a Bauble here, or mill over a Murktide Regent. Alright, I'm delirious. And we found a Bauble. Though, the Bauble's not good anymore because I don't want the cards that are under it. What would that look like? So I play Bauble, mill Wasteland, draw Underground Sea off the Bauble, and then I'm through the Ponder, and then I start seeing new cards in my next draw step. Or I could shuffle this now and just draw a different card now, and then see 2 random cards. Yeah, Murktide's already fed. Yeah, I'm going to shuffle this. It doesn't make sense already having Delirium. Keep that. And now I was rewarded with a backup blue card for Force. I can Force of Will something, pitching the Brainstorm, then shove Murktide Regent over the next turn cycle. They milled over a Gaia's Cradle with Underground Mortuary. A strong indication that they don't have a bunch of creatures to dump out. Hierarch, or they already have a Cradle. That could also explain it. Yep, already had a Cradle. Okay, so they are representing Endurance here, which is super annoying. Okay, I am going to Wasteland the Cradle pre-combat. Because if they flash an Endurance, then that's fine. If they don't, then I know I get to attack. And they have to do it now in my main phase. Now I can choose to Force of Will this, follow up with Murktide Regent. Yeah, I'm going to force this, actually. Which, I guess I could have just played Murktide then. I like Psychic Frog. I always like Psychic Frog. Okay, attack for 3, slam Murktide, hope I win. They have 2 cards left in hand. 2 Cradles gone. I can't keep Delirium, so I'm just going to make my biggest Murktide. If they just natural order for Atraxa here, that would be really difficult to beat. But that would be hard to do now. Land Grist does... They can sack half their board to kill Murktide, which they might have to do. Alright, pretty good follow-up here, but I'm following up with Psychic Frog, and I get to kill the Grist. Alright. A nice YOLO stabilization effort. Kill Grist the Hunger Tide. Play Psychic Frog. Hope you don't have natural order in your hand. Once upon a time again, still spinning those wheels. They're seeing a lot of cards. Hopefully they're putting a bunch of natural orders on the bottom of their deck. Springheart and Antuco. That is a lot of blockers. If they can keep lands coming. Okay, so they bestowed it, and they do have lands. That is 2 blockers available. How do I want to play this? I can Brainstorm. Yeah, I think it's just Brainstorm. Leave up red. Maybe I get Delirious here. Brainstorm is a good card to have access to. I'm going to keep it. Delver. If I put back Volk Brainstorm, I can play Delver and it'll flip next turn. Or, no, I have to put back Brainstorm Volk because I'm going to connect with Frog. But connecting with Frog means I have to exile my graveyard. Yeah, they don't care about these insects. I could attack with Channeler and offer them the option to trade. Yep, super complicated once again. Okay, I'm going to put back Brainstorm Volcanic Island. I'm going to jump the Frog. I'm going to draw Volcanic Island. I'll play both Delvers. They both flip next turn. Okay, boop you for 1. Volk, Delver, Delver. That's 6 points of flying next turn and Brainstorm to keep stuff going. The Springheart Nantuko is pretty sick, but they are top decking right now. And I am just F6 from here. Please don't natural order me. They got a lot of dead draws in their deck, but they also have some game enders. Just need to fade. Alright, Windswept Heath is not a game ender. It is a bunch more dopes on the ground. Gaia's Cradle's insane. Natural Order's insane. They got plenty of mana to make these ignoble hierarchs instead of bugs. Okay, Price of Progress is good for 6 here. Yeah, that's a lot of Exalted. No blocks. So I have 3, 6, 7. This is very close to lethal. The Brainstorm will determine if I win the game right now or not. Brainstorm. Leave up all my colors. Psychic Frog to the graveyard. Don't need another one of those. Price of Progress. Okay. That's just lethal, right? 3, 6. Yep. None of these things have reach. Cool. Put back Molten Collapse and Misty Rainforest. Pop, 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 pop. Plenty of things in the graveyard to give the Frog flying. Not that I need it. I'm gonna get it anyway. We got the GGs. Psychic Frog, a sicko. And that Price of Progress that I waffled on did end up doing exactly what I wanted it to do, which is maybe it's good for 6. 4 or 6 damage in a spot where we need it, which is exactly what just happened. That was a great match. On to the next one. Welcome to TopDeck.gg, your community's home for everything competitive Magic has to offer. If you're hosting an event, playing for a huge prize, or advertising your events to thousands of players, we've got you covered. Using intuitive pairing software, playing Magic is a breeze. Players just have to sign up online, then scan the QR code in-store. Give competitors the gift of perfect information as their bracket updates in real time. The self-reporting software saves you time and leaves paper match slips in the past. Leave the heavy lifting to TopDeck.gg so your community can relax and focus on playing Magic. I'm on the draw in round 4. I'm going to keep my hand. As I've said multiple times, you don't need to mulligan hands that don't have a 1-drop. You also don't need to mulligan hands that have only 1-drops. You can just creature, 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 middle fingers all around. Real Slim Shady your opponent's face off. DRC or Delver, which one do I want to lead on? I do have Force Backup now for this curve out. I'm going to play the Channeler. Meticulous Archive Pass is interesting. They did mull to 6. This could be some Cephalid Breakfast Nadu thing. Could just be any generic control deck. Cephalid Breakfast confirmed. Double Delver versus Psychic Frog. How many Dinguses do I want in play versus quality of Dinguses? I'll take my attack for 1 now. If I play Psychic Frog, Daze is live for them. I think I'm just going to play one Delver here, actually. That way I can Force of Will without getting dazed back. I could Brainstorm if there's an emergency. I could pitch the other Delver to Force. This isn't the balls to the wall curve out that I was hoping for when I kept the hand, but I think it covers the most bases now knowing that I'm up against a combo deck with its own permission. And Hedge Maze, so Nadu basically confirmed. Delver of Secrets, trigger, reveals Wasteland. I like that one. I'm going to play Wasteland, attack with my stuff, and I'm going to go after a white source while we're still in combat. White is their removal color. Okay, I'm going to make the same play I made last turn. I have Force backup. I'm playing around Daze. I can Emergency Brainstorm if I need to. Fetching. Could be Teferi, could be Nadu. It is Nadu. I would like to Force of Will pitching Psychic Frog with the option to Brainstorm in an emergency. Leave Brainstorm on top to flip those Delvers. Okay, suddenly an emergency. Brainstorm. Don't want this Brainstorm anymore. Now I need Daze. Found it. Okay, put back Underground Sea Murktide Regent. And I can Daze and mill both of them. Underground Sea Murktide Regent are back. Daze the Nadu. Oh, wait. Why did I think I had 2 DRCs? I only have 1 DRC. I should have put the Lightning Bolt back so I could flip the Delvers. Whoops. Yeah, my brain just got so excited. I could be flipping and revealing Lightning Bolt here, but instead I'm just not. Whoops. Embarrassing. I attack for 7 when you could attack for 3. Also, if I picked up the Underground Sea instead of Volcanic Island, I could have bolted my opponent and milled the sea anyway. All right, please don't have Nadu. I'm fine with... All right, shit. Here comes this. Flipped a Saga. I would have been fine with Cephalid Illusionist, which they also just came up with. So, but that means they can cast that. I have to bolt it, or else I lose the game immediately. All right, yep, here's this jerk. I'm going to let you equip and do your mill once, because I can't stop it. And then I'm going to bolt it before you get any Narcomoebas that can continue hurting me with the Shuko. DRC into the graveyard, not what I'm looking for here. Okay, they just put another Nadu in their hand. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of bricked here. Just, opponent would be dead on board if I had stacked my shit correctly last turn, because they'd be... Or no, it's +4 now, +6. They would not be dead on board. Lightning Bolt for the win. Underground Sea. Alright, I think we've lost. Disappointing. They can make a construct that's good for 2 extra cards. Yeah. Yeah, so they would be at 6 if I had stacked that correctly, which is not enough. Now they have Force of Will in their hand. Force Ponder. They can make a construct, Shuko 2 more times, play Nadu, which resets this Nadu, Shuko 4 more times, and by then they should be able to win the game. They can also just Ponder and look for an Illusionist or any other way to keep the party going. Did not shuffle. Teferi, alright. I don't think we need to keep doing this. Alright, Pyroblast coming in. First Cage come in. Price of Progress actually looked pretty sick there at the end. I don't know if it's how I want to play this, but it does look sick. Surgical, Counterbalance. Probably don't have room for a Price of Progress here. I think some of these baubles can go out. Force of Will looks good. Molten Collapse was one of the outs I could have been drawing to that game. Lightning Bolt is good against their whole deck, except for Nadu itself. Yeah, this is a lot of stuff I want to bring in, and not that much stuff I want to cut. I guess maybe Murktide Regent versus the Teferi Source of Plowshares deck might be a lot. I mean, Daze versus the very likely Delighted Halfling deck. I'm changing a lot of my counterspells into Pyroblast, so I don't feel that bad cutting Dazes, even though on the play versus a deck full of 3-drops, it is pretty good. Consigned to Memory does counter Thassa's Oracle's trigger, or Shuko, or Urza Saga, one of the chapters. That's interesting. I don't think I want the game to get that far, though. I think I'm going to shave another bauble. I have all this shit in here now. Graveyard Hate, Pyroblast, and Counterbalance. Still have my threats. I could understand an argument for 1 Meltdown because they are an Urza Saga deck. Keep. And I am going to go with Dragon's Rage Channeler to maximize the selection I get throughout the game. Opponent kept 7, fetching a basic, and Ponder. Respectable stuff. Ooh, okay. I'm just going to shove Psychic Frog now. I was going to play Ponder and then figure out if I'm going to Delver or what, but let's get this frogging. 2 counter spells in hand. Blue, green, Carpet of Flowers. Well, that makes Daze really bad. White, white in the pool. Swords of Plowshares. I don't think I can afford to force this. Not against this combo deck that just Dark Ritualed me every turn. Ponder. Lightning Bolt. I like Lightning Bolt. Another Frog, okay. I don't get both of these cards, though. I will choose the Frog over the Bolt. Frog. Continue frogging. Continue ramping them with their Carpet of Flowers. I need a Molten Collapse. Like crazy. They floated a shitload of white and then cast Brainstorm. Prismatic Ending. I'm going to force that pitching Daze. I just don't see Daze being a useful magic card for me, ever. Been a Delver. Don't need more threats here. Okay. And had a Plow also. Okay. Whole handful of white cards. That is the strength of these breakfast decks, especially the Bant builds now. They just get to be a Bant control deck. And then combo you whenever they get around to it. They could even board out the Thassa's Oracle half of the deck if they want to, and just be proper Bant control all the way through. They have used a lot of cards fending off my Psychic Frogs, though, and I am holding another Force. We'll see what happens from here. Black, black, black in the pool. Cabal Therapy. Yeah, go nuts. Name Surgical Extraction, please. They named Pyroblast. We got him. That was also a smart name. I just happen to have Force of Will. Bromads. Well, that can Flashback Therapy. I guess it's fine. Like, if I force this, they don't have a Nomads, and I don't have a Force. If I don't force this, they don't have a Nomads, and I don't have a Force, but I do have a Delver. Force of Will's gone. Last 2 cards in hand. Is it Shuko, Illusionist, Nadu, and what's the final number? Didn't matter. Okay, I have to draw Pyroblast or Murktide right now. Brainstorm could do it. Come on, Pyroblast. Lightning Bolt. That one is a reasonable backup plan. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this Delver. Yeah, the problem here is that DRC has to attack. Okay. They did not block, which is smart because they saw me keep the Ponder. They're at 9. What's left in that hand? 1 card was still left after all that stuff last turn. It wasn't Shuko last turn. It is Shuko now. Cool. Yeah, they had mana floating and had seen my hand, so clearly this was the card that they just drew for the turn. And they just flipped to Nomads. Holy smokes, we can never win. Saga, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I would rather be Grixis Delver than Bant Nadu in this matchup if I had to just select it on paper. But also, we can see why this deck has a lot of game versus other stuff. Alright, well, just ran exclusively unbeatable cards off the top of the deck from there. Yeah, GG's. Carpet of Flowers, MVP. Without Carpet, they're dead 3 turns ago without ever resolving a spell, but Carpet is pretty bonkers against Is It Delver, Is It Base Delver strategies. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. On the draw for the final round. Positive records locked, playing for the bread and butter 4-1. Hand's great if I get a turn. Mountain. Okay. Mountain go. So it's red Stompy with a slow start, or it's Painter. Either way, I'm going to play Delver of Secrets off of Volcanic Island. If they can shove a Blood Moon through Daze next turn, that's bad for me. But even just like generic creatures and shit, Psychic Frog is going to obliterate. That's assuming it is red Stompy. If it is Painter, they're going to have a ton of Pyroblasts in their deck that can fight off Psychic Frogs. Ancient Tomb. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I actually want to let this resolve because I want to get Psychic Frog into play. I don't think that card is good for me. In fact, I wish it was not in play. But Psychic Frog is so insane. I'm going to bobble myself. I don't know why, because I'm 100% casting Psychic Frog. That didn't make any sense. I was supposed to bobble my opponent. Frog. You bobble yourself if you're willing to keep the card if it's good, which I'm not. I'm just casting Frog. I built my whole game plan here on casting Frog. Okay, let's see if I can solo Red Stompy with a gigantic creature. They need Pyroblast or Dead Gone to even have a game plan against this thing at all. Okay, it is Painter, never mind. Pyroblast, the deck's full of Pyroblasts. This thing might be completely useless. Urza's Saga. If this attacks, I will block with Psychic Frog, and I will discard Daze. Yeah, Daze is useless here, even if they have Pyroblast and get an extra card off me, because I tried to save this. This Daze is not going to help me win this game. Especially if Goblin Shaman is attacking every turn. Yep, fucked. Okay. And that's the flip. Like, this is the practical application of what I was talking about in the deck tech of removal in the format that lines up well against Psychic Frog. If this was Red Stompy, and they had either no removal spells or only damage-based removal spells, that game was almost over when I resolved the Frog. But if they, as they did, ended up being Painter, and they just have 3 to 5 Pyroblasts in their main deck, I just got 2 for 1. And now I wish I had dazed the Fable of the Mirror Breaker too. Like, all of these cascading effects are based on the fact that my opponent had the ability to kill Psychic Frog in their deck. Okay, Delver flips Revealing Ponder. Some good news, at last. Ponder. Wasteland. Okay, I want Wasteland. Do not shuffle. Do cast Lightning Bolt. Do attack for 3. And I'm going to Wasteland Urza's Saga. I'm way more scared of Saga than I am of Ancient Tomb. Trying to cheese over the finish line is my goal here. This flipped Fable's going to be a big problem. Mox Opal, Goblin Shaman cranking out treasures, Daze insanely embarrassing. And the last card in hand is Goblin Welder. Okay, so they're all in, but they have a double engine set up with Phyrexian Dragon Engine in the graveyard. I'm not sure how I come back from this. It's probably just slam a giant Murktide and it somehow carries. So I'm looking for Murktide here. Force Flooded Strand, that's a full shuffle. Psychic Frog, okay. You have another chance at glory, my little buddy. And this does somehow quickly convert Dazes into worthwhile magic cards. They can get a lot of cards. Now, this is just if it comes out of the graveyard, right? Okay, so they can weld into Dragon Engine. They can copy Welder, but they really don't have anything else going on. The draw 3, like, they don't have Painter or Grindstone in the graveyard right now. They don't have Breya's Apprentice, so they can't generate an endless stream of blockers. Drawing 4 cards right now is terrifying, obviously. And they did the Dragon Engine weld in the upkeep, so they get to keep their card they draw for the turn. I have to hope that somehow all of those cards are bad. Okay, Welder, triple Welder is a lot of cards they get to draw every turn. Yep, Pyroblast straight up. Now I don't feel like I can win anymore. They get to attack for 6. And what do we got? Murktide Regent's my only Hail Mary. Not a Wasteland. All right, GG. Daze Flooded, Pyroblast, clean answers to my Frogs, which my whole deck is kind of based around here. All right, Meltdowns. I think I do like Charmaw here. Gotta give them another chance. They're not a huge graveyard deck, but they do use it. I feel like Hearse is good enough. Maybe Surgical is also. I don't want Cage. Some of the stuff they're moving around aren't creatures. I really don't like Force of Will versus the deck full of Pyroblasts. Daze becomes a blank very quickly. I could bring in Counterbalance. I don't even know if that's good. Price of Progress has been a rock star. Stealing games left and right. Now, I could leave in 1 Daze to keep them honest, 1 Force to keep them honest, or I could go Surgical or Counterbalance. Those are my choices here. I never board in Pyroblast just because Painter frequently names blue. I'm not going to have a blank piece of cardboard in my deck if my opponent doesn't decide to cooperate, which no good Painter player will. Maybe I'll leave in 1 Force to keep them honest. That's just like a bullet. Like, you can treat Force of Will like you treat Price of Progress or Unlicensed Hearse. It's just a one of in the deck that is good in certain situations. And where I'm way ahead on board and just want to make sure I don't lose somehow is a spot where you can dig for your Force. 8. Big Frog Gaming. Shout out to Kath Big Frog. BoshNRoll Discord mod. Okay, boom. Delver, Frog, Curve Out. Meltdown to follow up. Even if I get Blood Moon, I have a bunch of red cards I can play. Lightning Bolt. Yep. Might as well use it there because it doesn't kill Frog. And I am just getting Frog into play. There's nothing clever to do here. I would love if they just played like a Goblin Engineer. Nope. More blasts. Soul Guide Lantern. Okay. We're both packing Graveyard Hate. Okay. 2 friends. Delver DRC. Keep the pressure up. This Obsidian Charmaw looks pretty bad. I hope things start to turn around for that one. Ancient Tomb. Charmaw costs 1 less. Dragon Engine. Still a 2/2 double strike. Even if it doesn't do anything else. Hey, Delver, let's get to work. Polluted Delta's not what I wanted. A Unlicensed Hearse gets a Surveil trigger. Scalding Tarn. I don't really want this, but it does cast Obsidian Charmaw. I don't think that's enough reason to keep it. With Delver flips on the line and Delirium and just like wanting to find some removal, I'm not going to just go all in on Obsidian Charmaw, even though the card is awesome. And if they play Urza Saga, I could Charmaw anyway, which they didn't do. Do they want to race? Seems they do. Okay, come get me. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Sucks to suck. That card's really good. I think Painter is going to be really well positioned post Grief as well because of all the Pyroblasts in the deck. There's going to be a lot of blue threats in the format, primarily Psychic Frog. And Murktide Regent will be back. Delver. Flip Revealing Brainstorm. Just the best one there is. Okay, Brainstorm right now. Fix this hand. Wasteland. That makes my Charmaw worse. Alright, I don't need Wasteland because I have Charmaw. Get rid of that. Brainstorm. Bolton Collapse. Okay. That can kill Goblin Shaman and Soul Guide Lantern. They'll end up just drawing a card or exiling my graveyard, but that's okay. Am I more worried about Shaman or Dreadnought? Or this, Dragon Engine, not Dreadnought. Ponder's really good. And they haven't really played into Meltdown, and they're running out of cards in hand. I'm actually going to get rid of the Meltdown. And am I going to get rid of the Charmaw? I just binned Wasteland because I have Charmaw. So maybe I need to get rid of the land. Okay. Fetch. Oh, I don't even play a Badlands. I can't even cast this Charmaw. I am so obsessed with this card for no reason. Okay, destroy a target creature or planeswalker and destroy target non-land thing. I think I'm more worried about Goblin. I don't know. This is actually so close. The mana, does the mana matter? Double Strike is more. I'm not boarded out my days anyway. Yeah, I'm going after the Phyrexian. Collapse, Moltenly. Whether they go after my graveyard or draw a card here will be good information. Keep Brainstorm on top. That card's great. Okay, they did go after my graveyard, which means I'll also go after theirs. Do I need to? No, I don't need to. Just had to remember real quick how Unearth works. And I could attack, or I could leave back Unlicensed Hearse to block the Goblin Shaman. I could crew it for 2. I think I'd rather push damage, though. Yeah. I think getting the game 1 is more important than them having 1 more mana when they already have 1,000,000 mana. And if they attack with the Goblin, then Dragon's Rage Channeler can get into combat as well. Fable Chapter 2. Kept their cards. That's scary. I guess 6 mana is exactly the magic number to grindstone me from nothing. But I wouldn't have been able to stop that by eating the Goblin in combat. They still get the treasure. The line I'm talking about is crew, hearse, block, after blocks, exile the graveyard. Alright, yeah, Fury is fucked and unbeatable. And just had nothing to do with Unlicensed Hearse or the graveyard in any way. That Wasteland I milled away. Killing the Ancient Doom would have been good. Okay, Brainstorm's on top of my deck. I'm starting to fall behind. I think I want to Ponder first. Mishra's Bauble. And a bunch of lands. These cards are not helpful. Shuffle. Lightning Bolt. Alright. Sweet relief. I'll take a Lightning Bolt. Also going to Brainstorm. Frog and Bauble. I can put back Charmaw and Frog, and I end up drawing both of them. Alright, put back Charmaw, put back Frog. Make my land drop. Bauble you. Bolt Fury. Pyroblast on top of the deck. Cool. And I just stacked a Frog on top. I will bolt this Fury. And do I take the Charmaw that's underneath, or do I shuffle the Frog? I could shuffle both of them right now and get a fresh look. Pyroblast is just so good. Alright, I'm keeping the Charmaw, even if it means I have to draw the Frog. I really wanted to kill a Urza Saga with this Charmaw. I'm going to have to settle for Ancient Tomb. So this creature does not die to Lightning Bolt, and it doesn't get Pyroblasted. A lot to like about this big buddy. Volcanic Island. Finally! I did it. I cast the Charball. I don't know if this card is worth the space in the deck, or I don't know if it's supposed to come in here, if it's just for Eldrazi, but oh baby. It's certainly on the stack right now. I could attack for 5. I don't think I want to do that. If opponent just has a Fury in their hand, they win. Copying the Goblin. Okay, they're just ramping here. And I'm actually going to crew the Hearse because Lightning Bolt doesn't kill this, but it does kill Charmaw if I block. Oh, Jesus, they had a Braid. Ay, caramba. Well, I mean, at least I lost Hearse and not Charmaw, but I'm not happy about that either. I was playing around something. It just happened to be a Braid and not Lightning Bolt. Okay, if I can draw a removal spell for the Reflection, we're actually back to stability. Deck's full of removal. Let's find some action. Delver. Well, I guess I'll just dump out Delver and Psychic Frog. Try to overwhelm. I am going to attack. I'm not going to win this game by not attacking. And I hope I don't draw Price of Progress, because wow, is that embarrassing right now. Okay, here we go. They're showing me 4 damage on board. We know they can remove Delver or Psychic Frog. Just winging it. If the top of my deck is Lightning Bolt, and they kill Psychic Frog, I'm in good shape. They killed Delver. Does that mean they just have multiple Pyroblasts in hand? Oh yeah, yeah it does. Oh, okay. And just bolt me. Blast, Bolt were their hand. Okay, cool. Yeah, Pyroblast, huge part of the future Psychic Frog format. Even the current Psychic Frog format. I mean, Scam is also a Psychic Frog deck. And dealing with that's really important. And Painter going to be pretty well positioned when Grief gets banned. This league did a good job showcasing the strengths and weaknesses of this deck. We saw a lot of tiny, fun decisions where it's like, do I play this? Do I play this? Do I play around this? Do I sequence it this way? Do I play out 2 1-drops or 1 2-drop? A lot of cool stuff going on here. We got to feature Psychic Frog being awesome when unchecked. We saw Psychic Frog just eat shit to a Swords to Plowshares and a Pyroblast in the 2 rounds we lost. We saw Carpet of Flowers completely invalidate half of the cards in my deck. We also saw, Wasteland and Delver Gaming invalidate parts of my opponent's deck. This deck is lurking just under the surface. That's how I started the league. That is how I'm going to end the league. This is going to be near number 1 top deck when we lose Grief. Figuring out how to play with and against this deck is going to be important. Figuring out how you're going to interact with Psychic Frog as a legacy player moving forward is going to be important. We might be back into a format where 1 or 2 Pyroblasts are standard in the Grixis Delver shell for the mirror match. I don't know, but I will say, having played this whole league right now, it's refreshing. There are people who think Wasteland, Daze, Delver of Secrets are all reasonable ban targets. And if this is the best deck in the format, I think that's good. Not that I specifically care that Delver is the best deck in the format, but if the best deck in the format is about exchanging resources, attacking and blocking, and reducing your opponent's life total to 0 through combat, I'm fine with that. This is a reasonable thing to balance around. We saw opponents play basic lands, we saw opponents play Carpet of Flowers, we saw opponents play Pyroblast, and it completely flipped the script on me. My wins were pretty tight. I don't think we really had any obvious LOL runaways. And I think that there's always going to be a best deck, and balancing the format around a deck that is ultimately fair is better than having some shit like Reanimator be tier 1. We got Grief for another month. Buckle up, but you should be thinking long term, what are we going to do at the end of August, and what decks are going to be good at that point? And this is a great place to start. Matt, thank you for the opportunity to play this. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.